Hilchos Shegagos Perek Shmini, the laws of sacrifices for inadvertent transgressions, chapter 8. The first 7 chapters, we talked about the korban chatas, the sin offering which you bring if you do one of 43 sins inadvertently. The question is, what if you don't know whether you did one of these sins? You're in doubt whether you did one of these sins. So here the Torah has a special rule that's called the Asham Talui. Asham Talui means the doubtful guilt offering. This is an offering which you bring when you're not sure whether you did a sin which deserves a chatas, a sin offering. If you then find out that you for sure did the sin, you have to bring a sin offering. But while you're unsure, just to atone for this doubt, you have to bring an Asham Talui, and that's going to be the subject of today's chapter. It says that Rambam Malacha Aleph repeats the rule I just explained. Kol chet shechayavin al shegagos chatos kvua. Any sin for which, if you did it inadvertently, you would be liable to bring the standard sin offering. Chayavin al loy hoida shaloi asham talui. You're liable if you don't know about it. You're liable to bring asham talui, the hanging, the doubtful guilt offering. Umahu loy noida. What does it mean, not knowing? We're going to soon see a bunch of cases about this. But what's the basic definition of not being sure? Not being sure means im nistapek loy im shagag bedavar zeh oy loy shagag. You have to be in doubt whether you committed an act inadvertently or not. So in this case, there's a mitzvah, he's commanded to bring a special guilt offering. Shenemar. This is clear, it says in the Torah. I'll quote here the whole verse on the screen. Im nefesh kisechata, if a person does a sin, and it does one of the mitzvahs that it shouldn't have done, but he's not sure. He doesn't know for sure if he's guilty. That's the verse that the Rambam quotes. If he doesn't know and he's guilty and he might be carrying his sin, so he needs to bring a perfect, a unblemished ram. Be'erkecha means at a certain value as a guilt offering. This is called the hanging or the doubtful guilt offering. Why is it called the doubtful guilt offering? Interesting. I may have mistranslated it this whole time. I thought it was doubtful because the guilt offering is for the doubt. Here the Rambam says it takes care of the doubt, mechaper al hasafik, v'toileloi, and then you hang in the balance until you find out for sure that you sinned inadvertently, and then you have to bring the sin offering again properly. But the Asham Talui means while you bring the guilt offering, you are Talui. You are hanging, you've atoned for the doubt, but not fully atoned until you find out for sure. Halacha Beis, that Rambam establishes a very important rule about doubtful sins. Einei chayav ba'asham talui ad sheyiyasham isur kavua. You cannot be liable to bring a doubtful guilt offering unless there's a definite prohibition. See, the doubt has to be in you. You have to be unsure whether you committed a sin. But the availability of the sin or of the prohibition has to be definite. As the Rambam says, gives a couple of good examples here. Ketzat. What's an example? Ochal chelev. You ate forbidden fats. This will be the right side. Okay, we'll call this piece of meat has in it some forbidden fats. You ate forbidden fat. V'sofek im haya kezayas epachas mikazayas. But you don't even know if it was the full amount, olive-sized portion, or not. Oy shahoysal lefanav chatichas chelev v'chatichas shuman. Or there was 2 pieces, one with forbidden fat and one with shuman means permitted fat. V'achal achas mehen ve'ein yadua eza mehen achal. You ate one of these pieces, you just don't know which one you ate. So there was a definite prohibition. In the first case, there was a definite forbidden fat, you just don't know how much you ate. Or here, there was definite forbidden fat, you don't know which one you ate. Here's another example. Your wife, who is permitted to you, and your sister, who is forbidden to you, are in the same home. And you had relations with one of them, you don't know which one. Again, there's a definite prohibition in the home. The sister's in the home. You just don't know if you engage with a prohibition. Shabbos v'chol. You have Shabbos on a weekday. You know that Shabbos passed and Sunday passed. You did work in one of the days, you don't know which day. Oisha asa malacha b'Shabbos, or you know it was for sure on Shabbos that you did the labor. V'lo yada me'ein ezu malacha, so you don't know which category of work you did. Harei zeh mevi asham talui. In all these cases, there's a definite prohibition. The doubt is, where did you come in? Where did you engage? Did you engage with the prohibition or with the permission? Therefore, you have to bring a asham talui. V'chein kol kayetze b'zeh, the same thing applies in all similar situations. But let's consider a case where you don't even know if there's a prohibition. But if all you had in front of you was one piece, suffix shehi chelev, suffix shehi shuma, and you're in doubt whether it's forbidden fat or permitted, you're not even 100% sure that there's a prohibition here. If you ate this piece, potter, you're actually exempt. Because there's no established prohibition. The doubt needs to be taking place in your mind, not in the piece. Same thing if somebody eats forbidden fat from a koi. What's a koi? A koi is an animal which we could not establish its identity. Is it a behema? Is it a domesticated animal whose fat is forbidden? Or is it a chaya? Is it a beast whose fat is permitted? And you ate the fat. We're not even 100% sure if it's forbidden or not. Pater me'asham tali. You're exempt from a doubtful guilt offering. Shari ein kan isur kavua, because there's no established prohibition. V'chein aba'al isha shehi fake nida. Same thing if you have relations with a woman and you're in doubt whether she's a nida. Or fake erva shel keduv basar, or you're in doubt whether she's a sister. Right? Because you don't know at which point she was born. Was she born before the divorce, after the divorce, let's say? Pater mi'asham talui, in all these cases you're exempt from a doubtful guilt offering because the whole prohibition was never established with absolute certainty. Lefichach, therefore, ha'isha shenimtza dam al eid shela la'achar zman. In a regular marriage, a person is married to a woman, they have relations, and after some time, the woman discovers blood on a cloth that she had used to examine herself after the relations. Or somebody marries his yevama. That means his brother passed away childless, and he marries the wife. You're supposed to marry the wife, it's levirate marriage. The thing is, you can only marry her if she didn't have any children. Even if she's pregnant, you cannot marry her. Therefore, the rabbis decreed that after the brother passes away, you have to wait 90 days, 3 months, to discern maybe she was pregnant from the first marriage. Because if she's pregnant, it actually is forbidden to have relations with her. This guy doesn't wait the 90 days. He immediately consummates the marriage with his yevama. V'yolda, she gives birth 7 months later. Ve'ein yodua im ben tisha l'rishain oy ben shiva la'achrin. And now you don't know, is this a problematic child? Because it's 9 months old from the first husband, which means this guy should never have had relations with this woman. And that's a sin. Oy ben shiva la'achrin, or maybe all is kosher. Maybe this is a 7-month-old child being born to the second husband, totally kosher. He did what he was supposed to do, and this is their new child. But now you're in doubt. Since there's no definite prohibition in both of these cases, they're actually exempt from an asham talui. And the same would apply in all similar situations. The guiding principle here, there's no established prohibition. In order to be chayiv in an asham talui, there has to be an established prohibition. A person eats a piece of meat. Then one witness confronts him and says, you should know, the piece that you just ate, that was forbidden fat. Another witness comes and contradicts the first witness. It's 1 against 1 now. He says, actually, no, I know what you ate. It wasn't forbidden fats. Or you have a woman against a woman. One woman is saying it was forbidden fats. The other woman is saying not forbidden fat. Since by virtue of the testimony of the first witness or the first woman, the prohibition was established. But it's the guy who doesn't know whether or not he sinned. He has to bring a guilt offering. Now, on its face, this doesn't make sense. We're talking about one piece of meat, and you have an argument whether or not it's chelev. So how do we have nikba ha'isr? So some want to explain that there was actually 2 pieces of meat here. One piece had forbidden fat, the other piece didn't have forbidden fat, so it's a classic case, and the witnesses are arguing which piece he ate. In other words, the first witness is saying, you ate the forbidden fat piece. The other witness is saying, no, you ate the other piece. But the Isser itself was kavua. Everybody agrees that there was a piece of forbidden fats. And therefore, the doubt is once again in the person's mind. He doesn't know, and the witnesses also are arguing about the fact whether he ate the forbidden fat, and therefore he has to bring an asham tali. V'chein kol haba al ish asish. Same thing. If a person were to have relations with a woman who was married, she'ed echad omer meis baila, ve'ed echad omer loy meis. One witness says her husband died, she's permitted to you. The other witness says no. So by default, what's the last known status of this woman? She's married and she's forbidden. The witnesses here are arguing whether or not, in this specific case, he sinned or not, whether she was permitted to get married to the second guy. That's the Isser Kavua. And therefore, Chayav Ba'asham Talui, he's liable to bring a guilt offering, a doubtful guilt offering. V'hu adin l'sfeik megoreshes, same thing if you have a woman who you don't know if she was divorced or not. We had a whole section of laws of divorce, and many cases where there was a doubtful divorce. Doubtful divorce means she might still be married. If a person has relations with a woman who's doubtfully divorced, he has to bring Asham Talui, Shari Nikbah Isser. Because the last thing we know is there was an established prohibition, she was married. Now this divorce is making it shaky, you have to bring an Asham Talui. Avol Sfeik Mikudeshes Lo Nikbah Isser. Interestingly enough, if you have a woman who you don't know if she was married, now you don't have an established prohibition. Because the last thing you know about the woman is that she's unmarried. The doubt is whether she became prohibited and became a married woman. So we can't hold you accountable for that. Halacha dalid mishayu lefanav shtei chatichas. A person has in front of him two pieces of meat, achas shel chelev, achas shel shuman. One has forbidden fats, one has permitted fat. Or it's just two pieces of fat, permitted and forbidden fats. Va'achal achas mehen. He eats one of the pieces. Uba oivit kechavim a kelev, va'achal asashniya. Comes an idol-worshipping Gentile or a dog, both of whom don't have laws of kosher, obviously, and they eat the other one. Or they ate the first one, and you ate the second one. And now, we don't know which one did you eat. Or the guy himself ate both of them, but he ate one of them purposely and one of them inadvertently. Or the opposite, first one inadvertently, second one purposely. In all these cases, he's liable to bring a doubtful guilt offering. In the mix, there was an established prohibition. What's the doubt? He doesn't know whether he ate it or not. Okay, that's a classic case. You bring it Asham Tali. If you ate both pieces purposely, so you for sure consumed chelev purposely, pater mikarban, you're exempt from a sacrifice at all. You're going to get punished. You're going to get lashes for eating chelev. If you ate both of them inadvertently, again, you for sure consumed the chelev by mistake. Maybe chatas, you bring a full sin offering because you're actually certain that you ate the chelev. Two people consumed the two pieces inadvertently, so each one now is in doubt whether they consumed chelev. It doesn't always sound so logical, but here, both of them have to bring a doubtful guilt offering. Even though only one of them ate the chelev, but neither of them knows who did it. And so, they have to both bring a doubtful guilt offering, and the same applies in all similar situations. Halacha hey, very important rule now. Chelev v'noiser lefanov. What if you have two definite prohibitions? So till now we're talking about permitted and forbidden, and you don't know whether you ate the forbidden. What if you have two types of prohibitions? One is forbidden fat, one is leftover sacrificial meat. You ate one of them, you don't know which one you ate. You have two forbidden women in the house. Your wife who is a nida and your sister. You inadvertently had relations with one of them, you don't know which one. Shabbos v'yom kippurim. It's Shabbos and Yom Kippur. Friday and Shabbos or Shabbos and Sunday. And you did work in the twilight in between them. So you don't know whether you did work on Shabbos or Yom Kippur, but either way, you did a sin. Fascinatingly, you'd actually be exempt from either sacrifice in these cases. The Rambam goes to both sides. You can't bring a sin offering because you don't know which sin you did. As we said in chapter 2, you have to know which sin you did. And you also don't bring a guilt offering, a doubtful guilt offering, because you know for sure that you sinned. In other cases, you don't know if you sinned.
So
Here,
you should be, if you know that you sinned, then you bring.
How can you be exempt?
that's what he's saying. It's a catch-22. You don't know which sin you did, so you can't bring a sin offering. Because when you bring a sin offering, you have to know which sin you did. And you don't bring a guilt offering because you know that you sinned.
Okay.
You don't bring a doubtful guilt offering either because you aren't in doubt. Because you know for sure that you sinned. Asham tali you only bring when you don't know whether you sinned. Here you know that you sinned, you just don't know what sin you did. So you don't bring a chatas either. So you don't bring any sacrifice. It's very interesting. Halacha vav kol davar shechayavin al vadoi chatas kvua achas. Any situation where had you done it inadvertently, definitely, you'd have to bring only one sin offering. Then if you're in doubt about it, you have to bring one doubtful guilt offering. Any of those scenarios which we explained in chapter 3 and 4 and 5 and even 6, where you have to bring multiple sin offerings because you do one act that carries multiple counts, or you do a bunch of acts in one lapse of awareness, and you have to bring multiple sin offerings. And if you're in doubt about it, you have to bring as many guilt offerings as you have to bring sin offerings. Ketad, for example, the same way if you would eat forbidden fat and blood and leftover sacrificial meat and sacrificial meat offered with improper intent, all in one lapse of awareness, you have to bring 4 sin offerings. So too if you're in doubt whether you ate them or you didn't eat them, rather you ate the permitted stuff with them, maybe you bring 4 doubtful guilt offerings. Also, if you're in doubt whether the woman you had relations with is your wife, or she was that woman that we saw the other day on Shabbos. Where was that big tree over here? This one. The woman who was obligated 8 times. Remember, because she married all the different people and she has 8 counts of obligation. Maybe it was this woman. So now you're not sure. And you have to bring 8 doubtful guilt offerings just in case maybe it was this woman. A person eats one of 2 pieces. And you weren't sure if it was forbidden or permitted fat. After the doubt was created, you went to 2 other pieces and you ate one of those pieces. And again you had a doubt, forbidden or permitted fats. These doubts count separately. They're 2 different doubts. So you have to bring 2 different asham talus. The same way, we have a rule when it comes to chatas, that if you find out in the middle, it divides the obligation of the sin offerings, right? You do one sin, then you find out. You do the same sin, then you find out again. You have to bring twice chatas. So too, a doubtful awareness that you have in between doing different acts divides the obligations of guilt offerings. Therefore, if you ate 5 olive-sized portions of forbidden fat in one go, one lapse of awareness, and then you had a doubt about one of them, so a doubtful awareness, then you had a second finding out, but also a doubt. I'm not sure if I ate chelev. And for everyone, so too. Since the doubtful finding outs happened successively, so you're liable to a new asham tali for each one. Or other texts have, as it is in the Mishnah, chaticha shel chulin, v'chaticha shel chelev. But the meaning is the same. You have a piece of permitted fat and a piece of forbidden fat. Achal achas mehen ve'en yadua ezehi. You ate one of them, you don't know which one it is. Vehevi asham tali, and you did as you're commanded. You brought the doubtful guilt offering. V'chazar ve'achal es hashniya, and then you ate the second one. So funny enough, now you've made your sin certain, right? Because if you have 2 of these pieces and you ate one of them, you don't know if you ate forbidden or permitted fats. But once you eat the second one, now you for sure know that you ate forbidden fats. So now maybe chatas, you have to bring an actual sin offering. So too, if somebody else will eat the second one, he's also in doubt. Maybe he would have to bring a doubtful guilt offering, as we explained. You have, instead of good and bad, you have bad and worse. You have one piece of forbidden fat. Another piece is forbidden fat plus it's leftover sacrificial meat. You ate one of them. You don't know which one it is. So you for sure ate forbidden fat. Maybe chatas ala chelev. So for the forbidden fat, you have to bring a sin offering. The asham talei mishum neiser. But for the sacrificial meat, the leftover, you don't know if that was the one you ate. So for that one, you have to bring an asham talei. If you ate the second piece in a different lapse of awareness, maybe shalish chatois, you have to bring for sure 3 sin offerings, because you for sure ate chelev, another chelev, and neiser. If it was also worth at least a nickel, a pruta, maybe asham vaday mishum meila, you have to also bring, plus the 3 chatois, you have to bring a definite guilt offering for sacrilege, for benefiting from hektish. If one person ate one, and the other person ate the other, each one for sure ate forbidden fat. They have to bring a sin offering for that. Each one is not sure if they ate nicer. For that, they must bring an asham tali. And the same would apply in all similar situations.